Good afternoon, it's Joyful Hermit. Well, I didn't do a very good job with talking about what was going on in my life the other day. Went on and on, but all of it sort of dissipated last night. Um, my neck and my head spatial disorientation from the needle electrolysis of my spine and upper back and neck and things. But um, today I want to talk a little bit more about how to deal with evil and demonic. And it's good for us to have knowledge. And it was, I had another little insight yesterday afternoon and today. So I understood more why I was getting riled. The devil was messing with me. I talked about it in that way. And I could tell. And the devil it'll kind of blind your thought processes to a certain degree where you won't grasp what's happening to you in a way as far as your sensing of what is it that's making you agitated or not at peace and not making spiritual progress or whatever it may be. A block in you. Temptations that hit you, or fears and concerns. So, if we can learn to keep our wits about us, to keep our sense of spiritual equilibrium, settle yourself, calm yourself, and think through, why am I reacting this way? What is causing my unrest or my fears or unsure, not being sure, or feeling, I don't know, just off kilter. It's hard to describe. And you can pretty much always give yourself a little check in your mind, in your heart and mind. Does the devil have some reason to be bothering me, to be upsetting me, to be getting involved? So consider the people that are around. Have you been around someone who isn't stable, solid, who has a propensity to sin or to be unkind or controlling or have some kind of disorder themselves? And then you can sort of tell then that's a potential that the devil has been moving in on yourself or on through another person, causing disturbance. If your body isn't feeling well, if you're having bodily disturbance, pains and aches and things that you aren't usually having, if your emotions are off kilter, where things are really frustrating or not going well, and that's another thing to consider. Why would my emotions be off? Why would I be upset? Why would I be frustrated? Well, the evil gets to us. Consider the temptations of Jesus, the types that he had to overcome. But the first thing with ourselves and any kind of suspected demonic interference is to recognize that the devil is around us and causing disturbance in some way, shape, or form. And however he does, it's a dark spirit, the devil is a dark spirit, through someone else getting to you, or through your own self, through your emotions, through being fatigued, through being sick, through being thinking about taking a certain step, casting the net, and unsure of yourself, or You really didn't pray about it, and it wasn't as if Jesus was saying cast that net, but you decided to do it on your own, something that we or yourself wanted and prayed about, something that we specifically wanted, or but hadn't really talked it over with God's will, if it's something He wanted, or if it's something that the devil does not want you to do. The devil will block and interfere with that. And that's what I realized yesterday, was the last place the devil would want me would be linked and aligned, legally tied with the church as a canonical hermit. And I also recognize that there may be others who wouldn't want me to be. So we have to use our minds to understand what's going around in our world around us. What decisions are we thinking of making? And why would there be disturbance going on? Check ourselves. Is there some reason that we ourselves wouldn't want to take a certain step? And I mentioned about how Padre Pio kept resisting. Some forces kept him from going to the monastery. And finally, that broke through and he went to the monastery. But for quite a while, he would just stay at his home. And then Pietrelcina was where his village was. And he was a priest already, and the final thing he was to do was to get to the monastery where he would be living the rest of his life. But he resisted that, and there were reasons why, supernatural reasons, and the devil did not want him getting there. Padre Pio was going to be a very powerful soul that God was going to use, and God indeed did use him. But there were reasons then why the blockage, why the interference. So I just came to mind this morning as I was driving back from physical therapy. Had more needle electrolysis done. He thinks it's not going to affect me as bad as it did the day before. But he didn't do as close to up as high as my neck, trying to get the shoulder muscle to loosen up to help my arm. And but my middle back is so terrible today. And HOAs have been on me. That's why I decided I needed to review more for myself even, and I'll share it with you. How and why and in what ways the devil will get involved to try to upset us, to distress us. So my middle back pain really spiked up. But I had gone to the police I went there, but then you have to call a different number, because I wanted to get help with the HOA man who is fixated. I'm attracting these types that obsess and fixate, and he just keeps coming up with more things that he wants. Sides the house, front, back, and he's totally ignored my explaining. This has been going on for over 2 years. I'm targeted. My neighbors aren't being, and they have things with their houses that aren't in the HOA. Mine's all okay, except he's including, say I have 6 2x4s on my patio base, and he stands out in the common area just looking for anything. I'm not done with my woodworking in here. I still am going to need those to make a ledge for doing some tile work. So he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what's involved in my work. And I've told him about my health. So I'm getting an injection in my middle back September 6th. Neurosurgeon's hoping that will get the pain down, because my 3 of my discs are pretty much totaled in my midsection. So things like that. So I get the one situation dealt with, last night, and I emailed, and he emailed back with the chancellor and the canon lawyer come by. He's one person, and explained, because all of a sudden I just felt this release, and because I had realized it was the devil messing with this. And I wrote that and said, what the situation was. He's getting to know me through my emails, and that my concern of offending God, which was totally bizarre. When I got into sense again, my mind wasn't clouded, my emotions weren't messed with, and my thinking was clarified, and I realized he'll still deal with me directly if I'm a canon law hermit here, linked with the church in a legal, in a canon law that humans made up, yes, but in a legal way, and they had their reasons for. The bishops have their reasons, and the hermits at the time with this particular bishop, Remy de Ruse, had their reasons, but I don't consider those reasons really what God would, to be recognized and have respect. That's really not very hermit-like. So, no, but, whatever. People are people. The bishops ratified it, I think, to have more oversight in case there was someone who was off really misrepresenting the church, or the not the church, but the hermit vocation even. But they don't really, at this point, aren't all enforcing anything. So there's still things going on from hermits that aren't right, and they're not living their canon law, not even in the little simple externals to figure out and live. So some are, though. Some are. Many are. But anyway, so I figured that out. That got lifted. But then, boom, today, HOA trouble. Hadn't had it in over a month. Maybe it's been a month. All of a sudden, there it was. But this time I immediately knew the devil wasn't getting to me the other way. And not at all when I understand a person who is been at it for a long time. So I understand the person's problem. That took that all away. Once we understand, we can suffer with the person, we can love the person, pray for the person's healing, and realize that the devil uses people around us. The HOA men, just two of them, and one in particular. It's really down to the fact I don't think he can cope with a woman. He's a woman. It's not in his mindset that a woman can be doing these things. But he can't accept that I have this arachnoiditis, even though I've, mentioned the surgeon and the pain doctor, and I have my disability paperwork from 1987, pain disability, and I have to do things very slowly and when I'm able. And so but my neurosurgeon and pain doctor want me to keep active. And he told me, do your renovating, do your gardening. I'm good at that, and it's a kind of movement that I'm not standing in one place or sitting. So, and I'm generally not standing on concrete either. And the gardening, all the stretching that you do in this type of work. So anyway, so here I was with the devil yet again, dealing. And I also thought through, came in a flash this morning, coming back from physical therapy, why I was having a resistance in a way, or a fear of, and the devil had put that fear in me, that concern, that since I had had such a terrible time, particularly in one diocese, spiritual, with my mystical, especially when the ecstasies happened, really got to particularly one priest, and the bishop was excited, but then the priest sort of, people can affect other people. The devil can affect one person, and then that person can affect or even practically infect with wrong thoughts or negativity another person. But here, I was, that's why I was getting on, and the devil was working on it. I thought, they're going to think, what on earth with this person? Because my life's a little bizarre, and my spiritual life. But the chancellor, canon lawyer, emailed me last evening and said, don't worry about it. He says, yes, he says, I recognize you. He didn't even meet me yet, which is unusual. So he is very insightful and good person, not judging or anything, but because I said, well, I really need to meet in person with someone, because sharing about my life otherwise could seem just very strange. And my longtime friend felt so too. A lifelong Catholic she is, and has witnessed things, and the bad things too she knows about from my hometown because she was there. But so that got all straightened out. He's not. He said yes. He understood. I had nothing to be concerned about, but it had gotten worked up in me that all this was going to happen all over again. I'm not a glutton for punishment. I don't want unnecessary suffering. That's unhealthy. There's suffering that God gives us, allows us, and then there's suffering that we put ourselves into. So I didn't want to. I thought, oh dear, if I realized subconsciously I was equating being connected and close in with the church or with the diocese in some way, even if you just see the bishop once a year. But I would have a priest as an advisor. I would ask them to assign one or something, someone older that would be interested in hermit life and things. And a confessor, priest confessor. Obvious priests are the confessors. So that all left this morning, but I get home and there's the mail and there's this HOA thing. Boom, boom. So I had already planned out how I would deal with it logically. But the police can't do anything. I should have called immediately 911 when they came into my garage to ambush me. That's been a couple months ago, maybe 3 months ago. And they would have arrested them for that. I don't want them arrested. What I wanted was this policeman just to go talk and explain to them through the police, because he's not listening to me about my pain, or that I'm supposed to be doing this, and that you cannot paint when it's in the 80s and 90s. It's too hot for paint. Nor can you paint when it's under 55 degrees. It has to be a certain temperature range. So I haven't been painting the exterior. So that's his latest thing now. He's on me about that. Doesn't listen. Can't do the mortaring yet of the actual stones. The front of it's all mortared, but I had to wait in the spring till we had warm enough weather. We had a cold winter here. So see, things like that are bizarre, and that someone is being rigid and keeping up with it for 2 years, but not targeting the other neighbors who have things on their patios, that are big wheelbarrow, huge, sort of not a new one, but a trash hauler, trailer in a backyard. Trash can where it's visible, not supposed to have that, which those things I don't have. I just have construction and house painting that I have to wait, and I need my saws. So they're on the patio, whereas other people have their grills on their patio, you know, or kitty toys or things, kiddie pools or wheelbarrows. So it's not, when you know that something isn't making sense and is wrong, that there's evil in it, or persecution of a persistent and pernicious type. And that it can be in a church gathering too. It's not, doesn't have to just be out in the world, HOA. The devil wants to get into church and into Christians and mess them over, and also cause them to do the devil's bidding, in essence. It's awareness. We need awareness. If I had been more aware faster, I would have had my situation on, what would have been, Tuesday and Wednesday, handled. I wouldn't have been messed with for 2 days. And I would have simply had my strange sensations from the electrolysis into nerves that was too close to the neck, that got my neck all agitated, irritated, and then I had imbalance and spatial disorientation, so I couldn't do a thing then. I was just here on the bed. So I think I'm going to review more about the devil. These were just things that I jotted down that are important to keep in mind. Once you become aware of what's causing the disturbance, try not to fear. Don't fear. Don't fear the situation you're in or the outcome of it. Don't fear the devil itself. It's just a spirit, a malevolent spirit, a dark spirit. God has power over the devil. God allows the devil, well, it's learning. We're learning the spiritual life. Scupoli has a book, Spiritual Combat, excellent to read. Scupoli, Scupoli. And I think it's probably even in a reprint. If not, I'm sure you could get a copy, used copy, on Amazon or Goodreads or whatever these different places are, eBay. But it helps with how to engage in spiritual combat with evil, with darkness, and with ourselves. The devil can utilize us. Remember when I was in the other video, couple back, explaining that in the center of us is our soul with the intellect and the will. And the devil is not allowed a free-for-all with our intellect and will. However, we can lose control of our intellect and our will and let it go. Give it over to the devil. And then it can be utilized. But the emotions the devil can involve with and mess with. Outer senses, our inner senses, feelings and things like that. Our inner hearing, our inner sight. The devil can interfere with our imagination, meaning our ability to see images. So the devil can masquerade, and has in history, appeared as Jesus himself and the Virgin Mary. So if you have visions, you have to learn. That's a whole nother area of discussion and of discerning. Who is that who's standing there? Is it really my grandmother, or is it the devil? Is it, a dark spirit who has appeared in image form as what he is not, as somebody else, as someone that I would trust? So You have to always then discern what is told you, what you see, and it's always good to have a rosary right by you. I think at night, keep one under your pillow or in your hand. If you have a dream or if you wake up and see something, you're having your rosary, you can even hold it out. One time, the devil had me paralyzed. I could not move. I was awake. I was awakened in the night. And I could not move at all. But I had my rosary in my hand. I could not hold it out even because I was paralyzed. But I was able to, through inner sight, and I didn't even know it was like an automatic thing. My guardian angel must have helped, that my arm looked like it was holding it out. And that also, that faith, that devil just left immediately, left. Whereas before it was standing there and wanting to create bedlam, upset, emotional fear, because it's shocking when you wake up in the night to something like that. You have absolutely no preparation, and the devil knows it. The devil takes us at times when we're least expecting it, and also if it's in a waking time, it's when we least expect it or aren't, or we're not feeling well, or something else is going on that is taking our attention that we're focusing on. But then, so that's the fear thing. Don't fear. And know that God will help you, or your angel will help you, or other forces of good, other angels. And that's why I gave that example. I could not move an inch, but that action went out anyway, in a mystical way, a spiritual way. I could see my arm, assuming it was my arm, yet I couldn't move it, but it raised up and held the rosary out. It's good to have holy water. This is a little bottle someone sent me, but I just take an empty water bottle and go to the holy water font or container that they have to fill your holy water bottles in any Catholic church. You don't have to be Catholic to use holy water. My cousin always had me supply her with holy water. Finally, I said, well, you can walk into the church during the day and get it. She was scared to do that. But she had good effect with holy water, even though she would never consider being Catholic or anything. But that's one thing that she experienced and always kept. And when she would get upset, or at other times that she was going to have to engage with an ex-son-in-law or whatever earlier on, I told her, make the sign of the cross on you with the holy water, or just even on your forehead with the holy water. Just put it on you or sprinkle it on you. And she would do that. And obviously it helped her. And so do that before you go to bed if you're having activity. I was in such a strange state for 2 days. I didn't even think. I was that much stymied by being messed with by the devil to even get my holy water. It's written on there, but you can't see it. Holy water. It's faded. But that's good to have. There's such a thing as blessed salt. Friend sent me this. This is more with the Benedictine tradition, but Saint Benedict is one to call upon. That he is known as being good against evil. Ask his intercessions, ask his prayers. But this can be used. This is a priest who said a specific prayer, an exorcism prayer, and has blessed this salt. Salt is used in exorcisms. It comes from Ezekiel. Kings, I think. Elisha sprinkled water out on the water and gave it a blessing, and a miracle happened. I think it was in 2 Kings 6:16. I wrote it down here somewhere. Anyway, Saint Benedict is known as patron saint of exorcisms. Very good to call upon him if you're dealing with the devil. And I didn't realize this, but in my reading today, my online little research, Saint Bruno, the Carthusian, also. And they feel he is that it's the same thing. People would ask and say, ask and pray. Ask these people to pray for them or to help them combat evil, or when the devil was attacking them. And then they found that Bruno was helpful. St. Bruno was helpful. Deceased, his soul, he's alive, but his body's dead on earth, buried, or relic somewhere. But, and that was because he had lived such a holy life, or they're thinking that he has this gift with also people who are possessed by the devil. But I would certainly think then also any kind of oppression, where the devil is making a nuisance over a period of time and targeting. So St. Bruno's one to ask his prayers and help. St. Benedict, the other. And there are, there you can bless your property, do a blessing of your property for the St. Benedict medals. These have become associated St. Benedict medals as a sacramental, and the salt and the holy water are sacramentals. That will help protect your property from evil and the people on the property and within the house, even to protect against more hassles from the devil. Bottom line, protection from evil and from the evil spirits of Lucifer, Satan, and the legion of demons. Although it was pointed out, always remember that there are more, it's like 2/3 good angels and 1/3 evil spirit, evil angels, fallen angels. But these are placed on each corner. Each corner you bury it, a couple inches down, so it's not disturbed. Sprinkle some salt, sprinkle some holy water, and there's the Saint Benedict prayer for blessing property. That's online. You can get that online. At some point I might write it, but I want to give you more information on Saint Benedict and Saint Bruno in a separate video. So move on from that. Other things to do. Know that even if you feel like I should have recognized it was the devil involved in this sooner and then handled it differently, handled it better. And I felt that way too. Oh my goodness. Tricked me for a couple of days. And I was sort of I shouldn't say flipping out. I was writing emails to this poor chancellor, canon lawyer, and he's busy. I apologized last night. He says, I'm here to serve, but understand, even when you are being messed with by the devil, you are learning. It's experience, it's learning, it's knowledge for you to know better next time and to understand more. And so it's not a negative. You'll always learn. And that grinds the devil. In fact, thank you, devil. I learned so much more this time about the good angels and about evil angels. And all praise to God for all I learned from how the devil tricked me. So it's all good. It's all brought to good. God always helps us. We always get through it. Always get through it. when you call upon the Lord, obviously, but call upon the Lord. You don't even have to recognize at the moment that you've been tricked or the devil is stirring trouble. If you do recognize it, all the better, but otherwise, in all things, call upon the Lord. Cast your cares upon the Lord, and he will sustain thee. That's, I think, Psalm 52 or 55. So be prepared, though. Get in the habit of being prepared. I became lax. I became distracted. And I'm always prepared with my rosary, but I didn't have holy water sitting right here in reach. I have a bottle in the drawer. I should have it out in reach. Because if you wake up, and you're trying to figure out where your holy water is. And I should have done the blessing of my property long ago. My friend sent me these things, and the longtime Catholic friend, understand that the devil works in various ways. The tricks, the subtleties, works in different areas of the temporal, aspects of the temporal, and in all those different levels, in the inner senses, the outer senses, the emotions, in our image area, in our understanding, in our memory, will distort memories or bring up things. The devil is behind PTSD, the triggering of the past traumas we've had. And at bottom line, the devil is behind anything that is bad, malicious. But it's not to go out and think, oh, the devil's in this, the devil's in, don't get overboard. Don't give him that much attention, for one thing. But be prepared. And knowledge is power. Since the devil has access to our emotions, our memory, our images, because we create images a lot. Just in our waking hours, not just dreams. Our imaginations are at work, and we can envision things. It's not making up anything. It's not that kind of imagination that it's all made up. No, but it's using the God-given faculty for seeing and creating images from what we hear or know or feel or remember from our memories. Our memories usually are all images as things that we see, that we remember, and sometimes so feelings from our emotions. Excuse me. So, but he can also get into our understanding. That's the level that is a higher power of our beings, and it's the closest to the intellect and the will that's in the center of us. So, the devil then can figure out and can observe us, is around us. Just a fact. In the spiritual realm. The devil exists in the spiritual realm and can interfere in the temporal tangibles. That's how we have poltergeists, when things, movement or telekinesis that isn't from good or other aspects of that is understandable, but evil things that are meant to distress us, lights flickering or things moving or things disappearing. The devil's pulling tricks through tangible and temporal means. So we have to understand that if he's figuring us out and we're having interference from the devil, and we can tell it that things aren't going well, or we're agitated or not at peace, or feel like we're being messed with and confusion and chaos, those are hallmarks of the devil. Then, or too many flashbacks and you aren't in control of them, then do a little self-check, understand ourselves. Why is it that the devil would be messing with me? What about me's going on? And that's how I came upon my fear that I would be hurt again, physically, or run out, or, if I were closer in, connected with the church in this legal way. Yes, it seems strange, but we are human. And if you've been through traumas, then even though you may be over them and have forgiven everyone, but there's still an effect left. There's a residue, a temporal, tangible residue in my emotions, that is, and in my understanding and my images. It didn't seem that I was triggered the last couple of days and writing these things, and I realized that's what is my fear. Well, what stirred up that fear? What stirred up those things? Well, it wasn't God, it wasn't Jesus or my guardian angel or the Holy Spirit. No, because it's negative, and it was making me want to have the flight instinct of pull out. Don't do the canonical approval. And then, well, God won't want, then I got distorted thinking that God would be offended. God knows our hearts, so he knows I'm very sincere about this. And it's a big step for me. But this bishop is very spiritually oriented, as I'm discovering, and understanding of these things, not necessarily of my stuff, but he gets it with the canon law, what hidden means hidden, and silence and solitude means silence and solitude, and not being out there. That public means he's the public figure. The vows are in his hands, given to him as a representative of the church at large, the body of the community of the church, and as representative of Christ, who's head of the church. It doesn't mean literally publicizing it, having the press there to take pictures or a big public mass and announcing to everyone, blowing the hidden hermit's cover. So I probably, if a hermit wanted that, obviously a lot of bishops are doing it. If the hermit wants those things, I don't think the bishops have time to figure all this out or think about it so much. And, if other hermits don't mind being a who body or important or noticed or recognized, fine. I do. I don't want that. I'm God's nothing. I always have been. I plan to remain that way. Because it just opens up for temptation to pride. And then narcissism. Get into that. And we all have personality. But the disorders come when we have too many markers of too much of it. So that's where people get whacked out and practically to the point of sick. Well, they are sick. They get sick, obsessive, and other things, sociopaths or psychopaths or any of the disorders, borderline or bipolar. The basic of light aspects of personality that are kept in balance is one thing. But when they get out of balance, then the devil really can move in and take up residence permanently and just be right there waiting to, I'm making it sound dramatic probably, I don't mean to, but it's a serious business, and it's a supernatural reality. It's a spiritual reality. These dark angels. And they so they can figure out what gets to us and then arrange that. So the devil knew very well what would get to me, but it was subconscious in me. He knew subconsciously that underneath it, I was fearing more trouble with temporal, tangible church things. So then I realized, no, that this isn't there, this is here, this is now, and I wouldn't be involved. Back then, I had still had assignments from God that I had to, and I was going to parishes. So that's just, for a mystic, that's inviting some trouble right there. And if you're a hermit, hermits traditionally weren't in parishes, so there's ways to have mass. COVID opened that up for us. Mass online. And of course, spiritual mass. When you become at a spiritual level and spiritual communion, all of that is available. That's what the saint hermits had. They're saints. They were canonized, so they're not, it isn't anything that's bad, or they wouldn't have been canonized. The devil also knows our weak points, and we need to know our weak points so that we'll know what can interfere and what will cause it. We'll be prepared if we're having a weak time period, if we're extra emotional or extra tired, or things aren't going well at work for you, or relationship issues at home. Then you know that that's a sort of an open door invitation for the devil. It's not that we can stop the situations from happening. They have to be worked through. But just be asking God, be with me, Lord, all the time. Extra prayers to God. And use the sacramentals then to protect your home, your house, and yourself. Wear a cross, crucifix or a cross, and other sacramentals, blessed items. Have them with you if you can. And then work to strengthen the areas that are weak, open spots. Weaknesses in the fortress, in the barrier, in the armor of God, any chink holes. I mentioned the sacramentals, different prayers. Call upon Saint Benedict to pray for you and Saint Bruno. Let's see if there's anything else I want to... The devil will work through, as I said, our bodies, through sicknesses. The devil will work through dreams, through tangibles. The devil can create havoc, poltergeist, upset, make chaos. Subconscious. The devil can work into our subconscious and stir up worries, go get our memories stirred up, go back into that, and self-blame, things like that, stir us to self-blame. Scruples. The devil is involved with people who have scruples. I'd mentioned that in the confession video, of where you become extreme and overly fastidious over every little action. Oh my, is this or is this that? And the devil will enhance that and play with our understanding on that, so that we don't understand, so that we lose a sense of balance in our emotions also. And And scruples then can also then be linked with our outer senses, where it's sort of a type of a spiritual OCD in a way, obsessive compulsive disorder, where excessive concern and worrying. Even people, at mass, they can, I didn't pray, I didn't kneel properly, I didn't hold my hands properly. Externals that God is concerned, it's not a sin, and it's just what over time people decided to have a liturgy that everyone was doing similar motions or postures if they could. If they could stand at the gospel, they all stand. Not long ago, they stood all through Mass. Over in Europe, in some of the cathedrals and old churches, there are no pews still. And you'd stand if there was a Mass there. Or they'd bring in folding chairs, not pews. So, somebody might think, well, that's not good. It's got to be pews. That's scruples when you get extreme. And also anything thoughts you've had that they blow up as being horrible sins. And so that's how the devil can do that, but also do it just in our everyday life. You don't have to be Catholic to have scruples and to be a worrier or anxiety ridden about things. The devil doesn't care. He doesn't care if we're sick. The devil didn't care if my pain is such that I can't do my work fast and the heat's been bad. I haven't been able to do much all summer. It's going to start getting cooler pretty soon, but I get worse when the heat is. So he didn't say, oh, I'm going to feel sorry for her. I won't have the HOA people keep it up all summer long. See? So, but if you know these things, it gives you a sense of, knowledge is power, a sense of security when we know who's behind it. And then we learn how to deal with it. And so he works a lot through situations. But as when you get going in your spiritual life, if you read the Spiritual Combat book, that'll help. And maybe I should review it if you don't want to get it. But there's just so many other things to review that I think that I want to focus on the positives more. But I think we do. It's good to understand the evil and not be hoodwinked, not be caught. In other time periods, books would be written. They had devils categorized as there were 7 devils. There are different aspects of the devil, but they would give each a name. Like they used to say that Lucifer was the devil of pride, Beelzebub, the devil of envy, Satan was for wrath, Abaddon was the devil of sloth, laziness, Mammon, the devil of greed. We're more familiar with that one from the Bible. Belphegor, gluttony, and Asmodeus is lust. So, in other time periods, other centuries, they would identify, this is that devil, that's the devil that's getting to me. We don't need to do that. I don't think we should dwell much on the devil when we're dealing with him. Just know what it is and go into action and ignore the bulk of it. But if you're in a situation in your life, that can be a little different. That can really get to us more. And I think it's good then to know, like putting holy water on something to assist us in the battle, in the spiritual warfare that goes on with the devil. So I'm going to increase prayers for the HOA people. I'm increasing prayers for myself asking God to give me more strength to do more work, to get more done, because that will appease them. They're worry, busybody male, retired old men. And I'm going to pray that the Holy Spirit help open their minds that just because a woman's alone and older, she can still know how to do renovation work and do it well. But it's going to be slow. And also touch their empathy and not to worry and to keep calm. The devil's using them. The devil's messing with those men. I've told them many times the temperatures that are needed for paint, for exterior paint. And it's as if they've never heard it. They just keep on it and on it. And the same with mortar, when you can use mortar so it won't dry out immediately or it will set properly. If it's too cold, it won't set properly. So it's helpful to know, because then I have more compassion. I was sort of fed up this morning. I'm not sort of, very, when I got those letters. But immediately, because I just had that insight of understanding, why, how, and another way how the devil was so easy to get at me for a couple of days and agitate and have me fearful and thinking I want to pull out, I'm going to end up with things really bad are going to happen or displeasing God or all that. And it wasn't maybe 2 minutes since I had that flash in my mind from the Holy Spirit. Got the mail, and there were those 2 letters, boom, waiting for me, to rile me. And what riled me more was the young policeman who said that wasn't really anything he could do, whereas a different police person who did the answering, the phone call answering, said, oh yes, they could go talk and explain, try to get through to these people, the HOA people. But this one, the officer that had called me then, actually didn't want to, said he can't really do anything unless he steps in the property. He says, you should have called 911 immediately when they came into your garage to get on you, because they cannot do that. They would have been arrested. I don't want them arrested. I just want them to be patient and stop getting to me. But I've got to now learn not to let it get to me. If they try to levy fines or put a lien on the house. But in the meantime, I'll go ahead and fill out state paperwork with American Disabilities Act. Then I can retain a lawyer if I need to. Have to do the paperwork. The ADA will try to deal with this. At least this state has a group that will handle misdeeds against the disabled person, persecutions and things. So they'll probably send a letter or something, but it will be on record in the State Department. But it's more hassle. I don't want to do that. I'd rather do these things. Think about God and all, but the devil knows that about me, see? Knows that I don't want to deal with this other stuff. And that's what will trigger me more, upset me, and frustrate me. So I have to do the opposite. We have to train ourselves not to react to how the devil is counting on us reacting. And it's no good anyway. It's not a good trait of mine to become distressed over something that is ridiculous, but is causing me stress, tension. My pain shot up because I was out trying to do more in the heat than I should have. Thinking, better. I felt the pressure. Yeah, so other aspects of, just ideas of the hermit we're familiar with, I'm sure. The serpent, the tempting serpent. Lucifer was a higher rank in the angelic hosts, and here's this from Elisha, where the um, in 2 Kings 6:16, how he said, don't be afraid. He told people, do not be afraid. And he, put the blessed salt over the water. Salt is used in holy water. Blessed salt is used in holy water. When the priest blesses it, he sprinkles some salt, or I think something like that, or has it already in there. Blessed, though, blessed salt. And it's not superstition. It's over centuries. Even the exorcism prayers are very well formed, utilized in certain ways, very specific. Priests who do exorcisms are highly trained in it. And it's a very serious business. Dealing with the devil's a serious business. And that's why we shouldn't take it lightly and do what we can with known sacramentals that will help protect us. But not fear, though. Ultimately, see, God is over the devil, but allows for our own growth, because we learn far more from a demonic attack or even a subtle situational disturbance that the devil is allowed to get in and do in our lives. We learn so much and grow so much more spiritually. The devil doesn't benefit from it, other than ego, and the devil is very narcissistic and power hungry and wants to be God, wants to be grandiose and important. So, and that's why the devil easily gets into narcissists too, and ego and pride. So how pride is the main source of sin. Oh, and why they had a name for the devil of pride. But I think I'm going to talk about more of the background of Bruno, of the biblical and the scriptural, and of Bruno and Benedict in a different video, because I make them too long. I have to learn all these things too. So that it's I think once we have the knowledge, then we go into practice mode, as always, and learn how to have spiritual combat, that we do not lose our equilibrium, our equanimity of spirit. We're very calm, cool, collected, and call upon God. And the more closer we are to God, it's known that the more the devil will be at you. So it's all the more to know our enemy. And I don't know, one time I asked a priest about praying for the devil. It's a fallen angel. He didn't really have an answer. He says, I've never been asked that. I'm sure people have asked that of different priests, but he hadn't yet. But I think it's sort of distasteful. So I don't pray for the devil. I feel bad that, but he's an example of what can happen to any of us if we get too power hungry and too narcissistic and self entitled and sick like that, desperate for attention and to have people notice us and think we're the greatest around and the only ones that can do it or do it right. And I have to laugh at that, because my neighbor woman has offered to help me paint, and she was going to get a whole group of people, but then realized that I like things painted correctly, and I use very nice paint, so I don't want it, that I end up having to repaint or something, because that can get tricky with people. Then they see, oh, she's painting over, but we painted it, But if they don't do a good job, or put it on too thick, or streaks, or too thin. So I thought, well, if she and I did. She's a very good painter, but I had to laugh and thought, now are you getting to thinking that you're the great painter? No, I make mistakes, but I have my system and my way of painting, a style. And especially with walls, that's important because you put it on a certain thickness, and if you're having somebody else paint alongside you, then it can dry and be not a professional looking job. That's my main thing. I do all for God. And so if it's within my means, I want things to be done well and correctly and to look beautiful for God also, and for whoever's going to live here after me. I've been doing this project for Jesus and for whoever he's chosen to live here next. And my spiritual die, I've done this with houses, uh, just even in painting or fixing them up or the gardening. And my spiritual die used to say that he was sure that all the praying I did and my motivation and intention of love for someone else who is going to live here, who maybe hadn't lived in such a nicely done house when it's done, when it's finished, that he said, he says, I just think that the praying alone will affect those people's lives. And being in the place that had those prayers and had a good job done on it with an intention of doing your best, that is a good way. But my best isn't perfect, but it's my best. And I have a talent for this kind of stuff. So I'm trying to use it for the glory of God and for whoever Jesus has coming here. So that's, but it was a thing I thought about with, am I narcissistic about it? Am I egotistical about it? No, but I thought stop disaster from happening ahead of time. Because if I'm painting and somebody's painting on the other side and they're too much and it's running and dripping and dries and drips, that's a mess to clean up. I'd have to hold a heavy sander up there to sand that off and redo it. So no, it's probably best just to have my neighbor woman who I know is a good painter. Or if I'm hoping once I get this injection in my middle back in September that I'll be able to just do all the painting myself and not have to put her into that position. But she wants to, I would pay her. So I always be fair with people. But I'm very grateful to her because I need motivation to do it. I need somebody to say, okay, we're going to go do it, because my pain is on top of me. And that I have to be careful that doesn't become something that the evil one will use to keep me not doing when I could be. It's fine lines. So awareness of the devil, knowledge of the devil, how we can deal with the devil, how we should not react to the devil, and at best circumstances, ignore. So that's basically what I'm going to do with the devil who's working through these people, the HOA people again, is ignore it and just steadily do what I can when I can and know that it will be all finished maybe by next spring even. And then they don't have to keep being so anguished over it. And threatening and harassing, I'm concerned. I think, what is their eternity going to be like that they keep harassing this lady who's doing her best and has a disability? Got my paperwork out to show. I was gonna, if the policeman would have come, I would have shown him that, But we just talked on the phone. But yeah, so I don't know how God would view these people who are so unempathic, and there's nothing awful about my house on the outside whatsoever. Inside, it's disruptive in here. I need to paint the walls in here and put things back in order and get the flooring in, and the trim on the windows. But it's not like it's uninhabitable or anything wrong. I'm not bothered living it. I had to live in far worse on that island house with the rats in there and the birds and the raccoons infesting, and so it was just interesting though. But I need to pray for them all the more, because they're not being kind and they're pressuring me and it's stressing me. I cannot allow it. See, that's on me to trust in God and not let them get to me whatsoever. And I'm doing pretty well this time with it, I think. Praise be to God. So, a little bit about the devil, and Lovey has heard me talking, so he's making racket. So I will stop. God bless his real presence in us. That's the biggest defense against the devil. Scripture, prayer, and faith, and knowing with all assurance that his real presence, the Trinity, is in us, and we are in the Trinity. And love will send the devil away too. But he's always going to come back. That's the devil. It's our reality, our spiritual reality of good versus evil.